Hello, it's John Heaton. Today I'm going to review a Fleetwood Mac album which somehow slipped through the cracks and I never ended up reviewing it. I don't think so anyway. This is Say You Will from 2003. Didn't come out on vinyl at the time, although it was later released on vinyl. But only in a single sleeve, not gatefold, and no inner sleeves, no information, no pictures inside. Just the double vinyl with not very interesting labels. So, bit of a perfunctory release that. But anyway, back to the CD. That's all we had at the time. I remember being very excited by the release because it was the first album featuring Fleetwood Mac featuring Lindsey Buckingham since Tango in the Night all the way back in 1987. They had made an effort to carry on without him, producing albums like Behind the Mask and Time. Time had a few nice tracks from Christine on it, but Behind the Mask was particularly weak. And they missed Lindsey's guitar and production skills and songwriting, of course. They'd always had a troubled history, this lineup. Used to be romantically involved, Buckingham and Nicks, and Christine McVie with her ex-husband John McVie. So when they did the Tango in the Night album, they had a meeting at Christine McVie's house and Lindsey told the rest of the band he didn't want to tour. Stevie Nicks apparently got very upset and physically attacked Lindsey, and the argument spilled out into the streets, I read. So that was pretty unfortunate. I did see the 1988 tour, and whilst I was quite excited to see them because I'd never seen them before, it definitely missed Lindsey's guitar work and singing. We had Rick Vito and Billy Burnett trying to replace Lindsey on the guitar and not doing a very good job. Anyway, I did actually meet Mick Fleetwood and Christine McVie at their hotel in Mayfair. I remember somehow getting to know which hotel Fleetwood Mac was staying in, and I went round there and I took my Fleetwood Mac Tusk songbook and I got Christine and Mick Fleetwood to sign that. So that was nice opportunity to meet those two. And I remember saying to Christine, I'm glad you're including Brown Eyes in the live set because it was one of my favourite tracks from Tusk, and she said, yeah, we try to do something from every album. So anyway, nothing from that, after Tango in the Night, nothing from the sort of the five-man classic lineup of Buckingham, Nicks, the two McVies and Fleetwood, until Bill Clinton's inauguration in 1992 when they got together to do Don't Stop. And then nothing for another 5 years after that until this album and the accompanying tour or a few concerts they did in 1997 called The Dance. This front cover tries to mimic some of the album covers they'd had before, like the Tusk inner sleeve and the Rumours front cover. Again, nothing much on this album. The back sleeve has some information on, but they're both plain inner sleeves, double vinyl. Quite nice to have. But anyway, that tour used to be was a kind of greatest hits package. They did have 4 new tracks featured. Temporary One from Christine, which was nothing special. Little Demon from Lindsey, which was okay. Bleed to Love Her, which was good from Lindsey and would find its way into Say You Will, so I'll come to. Sweet Girl from Stevie Nicks is pretty dismissible. So fast forward now to 2003 and they come up with an album. The first thing to say is 75 minutes 56 seconds. That's a long album. 18 tracks split 9 each between Lindsey and Stevie. No Christine McVie apart from her organ playing and backing vocals on 2 tracks. So we definitely miss Christine McVie in the same way that we missed Stevie Nicks from this album from 2017, which was Buckingham McVie without Nicks, featuring Mick Fleetwood and John McVie. So it could have been called a Fleetwood Mac album for reasons unknown. We don't know why it wasn't. Stevie Nicks couldn't be persuaded to join that one. And Say You Will, it has some great, let's not beat around the bush, it has some great tracks. There's no denying that. It's just that they can't maintain it for 4 sides or of an LP or 75 minutes 56 seconds of music. That's a long double album by vinyl standards. So the 5-star tracks, in my opinion, Peacekeeper is just an outstanding single, and it's got some great harmony vocals from Stevie Nicks. It's a Lindsey Buckingham song, but in the way that Stevie Nicks can do quite uniquely, her harmony vocal sounds very distinctive, and it works very well on that on the chorus of that song. Say You Will is a Stevie Nicks track, very catchy, nice rhythm section as always from Mick and John. Good backing vocals. Steal Your Heart Away is just a gorgeous Buckingham number, and Bleed to Love Her is another top-notch Lindsey number. And then we've got a number of what I would call 4-star tracks, but some of them good Lindsey tracks, but I think they would tend to more belong on a solo Buckingham album. Red Rover is a good track, but that could have easily been on one of his solo albums. Same with Say Goodbye, and Miranda could have been on Go Insane, but it's a good track and it works well on this album. Got a track called Murrow Turning in His Grave, which is a reference to Ed Murrow, the famous US broadcaster. So Lindsey's lamenting the state of the nation, I think, and saying Ed Murrow would have turned in his grave. I wonder what he'd be saying now. Anyway, What's the World Coming To is the opener. Lindsey. Song, not bad, quite catchy, but nothing to write home about. Thrown Down is a nice track from Stevie Nicks, very catchy, nice tune. So that's the good stuff. And then we've got a succession of what I can only describe as mediocre songs, mainly coming from Stevie. Silver Girl, maybe slightly better than the other ones I'm going to mention. Running Through the Garden is quite decent. But then Everybody Finds Out is mundane for me. Destiny Rules, nothing special. Goodbye Baby, The Closer, nothing special. Illume, it's a tribute to the 9/11 victims, although difficult to decipher that from the lyrics. But again, just 3 stars out of 5 I would give it. And then a track called Smile at You from Stevie, fairly innocuous. And then a terrible track called Come from Lindsey Buckingham, where he just goes all heavy and does his guitar heroics and screams the vocal. And it's just, I don't need to hear another song from Lindsey like that. He's done it a few times in his career and I don't particularly like it. Anyway, having said all that, the album did quite well. Got to number 6 in the UK, number 3 in the US. As I say, I have it on vinyl as well. I saw the Say You Will tour in London in the back end of 2003. This is a nice program with nice pictures and even an interview, a short interview with the band, although they don't give too much away, apart from making a joke about whether they'll sleep in separate bedrooms. It's the last question they were asked, and Mick Fleetwood said, "Who knows," or something, or one of them says, "Who knows." Anyway, they've been milking the disharmony in the group throughout their career. And I remember at that concert when Lindsey was singing "Say Goodbye to You and You Say Goodbye to Me," or whatever the lyric is, him and Stevie are staring at each other. Sort of, I guess, for sort of dramatic effect. But in conclusion, this is not a bad album. As I say, it's got some beautiful highlights, particularly Peacekeeper and Steal Your Heart Away. Those are my 2 favourite tracks, if push comes to shove. If I tend to go back to Out of the Cradle if I want to listen to post Tango in the Night Fleetwood Mac material, solo or group-wise. But this is decent. And I'm glad I have it. Probably, as my friend Mike Levin said, the world doesn't really need a new Fleetwood Mac album, so I guess we don't really need that, and we didn't need it in 2017. That's why they didn't call it Fleetwood Mac, they just called it Buckingham McVie, which I think is probably fair enough. Anyway, that was that. I hope you enjoyed it. I don't suppose you don't have to agree with me. Maybe, I know there's probably a lot of Stevie Nicks fans out there who think I'm being a bit harsh, but I think she's done better material, to be honest with you. And thanks for watching. See you next time.